that this election is not even going to be Democrat versus Republican. It's crazy versus normal. So it's really something.
I think that's a good assessment.
I have to say, I agree with John Gibbs there. I think this election will be crazy versus normal. This is John Gibbs, who is a Republican House candidate. We can put up this photo here, and he, you gotta give it to the guy. Looks good in a suit, looks very serious, has some serious stances that I think it's time for us to dive into because, back when he was in school in Stanford, back in the 2000s, he apparently liked to post on the internet. In particular, on his personal page at Stanford, he had a think tank he had founded called the Society for the Critique of Feminism. And here is a little bit of what that think tank was operating in. He said, some argue that in a democratic society, it is hypocritical or unjust for women, who are 50% of the population, not to have the vote. This is obviously not true, since the founding fathers, who understood liberty and democracy better than anyone, did not believe so. In addition, all people under age 18 cannot vote, although they too comprise a significant portion of the population. So we cannot say that women should be able to vote simply because they're a large part of the population. And he doesn't just found this view that women shouldn't be allowed to vote or hold office on the Constitution. He also invokes the Bible, saying the Bible clearly articulates the idea that women should not teach or maintain positions of power. Why is it that women should be the ones to take care of the children? The female species were the ones selected by nature to rear children. Now, we can catch you up on some of his more recent stances. This is going back a bit to his time as a student, but Mondale, what do you think about his position on female voting?
I think his position on life, he's a grift. Let me explain something to you. He's talked about liberty and what the forefathers, I didn't have forefathers, I had one father, what the forefathers knew better than most. They also said black people couldn't vote. They also said if you didn't have land, you couldn't vote. There's no logic in his thinking. And comparing people under 18 not being able to vote to a grown woman who has the age of maturity, it's ridiculous. And beyond ridiculous, John, the tragedy of this person is that he has been endorsed by Trump, which is enough in a lot of cases to win an election. This way of thinking is absolutely disgusting, especially when we see a Supreme Court that is so hostile to women's rights. So we hear Iranian government talking about false news. We hear Trump talking about fake news, and we hear crazy people calling insane people crazy. And I think all of this is not a huge leap to understand that we find ourselves in this space because people are quiet and politically nice. I'm not. This guy's an ass.
I certainly agree. By the way, so he's endorsed by Trump. There's still the possibility that we should consider him far more progressive when it comes to women than Trump. As far as I know, John Gibbs has not been alleged to have sexually assaulted literally dozens of women. So he has that going for him at the very least. But anyway, more recently, he has echoed the great replacement conspiracy theory, saying that immigration is now being weaponized as a political tool by the left in order to replenish their voter base. It's insane. He's obviously for Second Amendment rights. That's fairly standard for them now. Wants to repeal abortion rights and reform elections based on what Trump had to say about the 2020 vote. So that's the more recent stuff. So bear in mind, while we're debating stuff that he said as a student, his more recent stuff is bonkers too. But really fast, when it comes to that old stuff, his spokesperson says that he wasn't being serious back in 2000 and 2001. He was just posting those things online to provoke the left on campus and draw attention to the hypocrisy of some modern day feminists. And I want to give his team extra credit for choosing to have a female spokesperson come out and defend him, saying that women shouldn't be allowed to vote. That's just a nice little chef's kiss moment right there. So Mondale, should we buy that? So either because he made the comments 20 years ago, maybe he's changed, which is possible, or maybe he was just trolling before social media even existed outside of GeoCities. Are either of those good responses?
I listen, even if those are his responses, no, they're not good. We know they're not good. And if this is the way you joke, then you are trash. I know it's not Friday, but can I throw him in the trash? But I would say this, what about his comment about Hillary Clinton leading a satanic ritual? What about his comments about the 2020 election being rigged? All of this is disqualifying for leadership, period.
I didn't even know about the satanic ritual thing, but why not? They all have to believe in Q at this point. So anyway, that's John Gibbs. These are the things he said, the things he believes. We will leave it to you to decide if he's qualified to be a congressperson.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.